welcome to My Career in Data, a podcast where we discuss with industry leaders and experts how they have built their careers. I'm your host, Shannon Kemp, and today we're talking to Prateek Arora.
With a robust catalog of courses offered on demand and industry-leading live online sessions throughout the year, the DATAVERSITY Training Center is your launchpad for career success. Browse the complete catalog at training.dataversity.net and use code DVTalks for 20% off your purchase.
Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Kemp and I'm the Chief Digital Officer at DATAVERSITY, and this is My Career in Data, a DATAVERSITY Talks podcast dedicated to learning from those who have careers in data management, to understand how they got there, and to talk with people who help make those careers a little bit easier. To keep up to date in the latest in data management education, go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Today, we are joined by Prateek Arora, a business analyst at a nonprofit in the retail and fintech industries. And normally, this is where a podcast host would read a short bio of the guest. But in this podcast, your bio is what we're here to talk about. Prateek, hello and welcome.
Hi, hello, Shannon. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so anxious to hear your story. So tell me, okay, so you're a business analyst at a nonprofit in the retail and fintech industries. So tell me, what is it you do in your role?
That's an interesting question, and I get asked that question a lot everywhere I've worked, honestly. So as a business analyst, my role is really about being a bridge between technology and people. On one side, I'm working with data, systems, and tools, and on the other side, I'm working with teams who are trying to solve problems, make better decisions, or deliver services more effectively. In practice, that means I spend a lot of time gathering requirements, understanding what different stakeholders need, and then translating that into technical solutions, whether it's a new reporting dashboard that I build using maybe Tableau or Power BI, or any other tool out there, honestly. Or it could be a process automation or an improvement, or even a change in how data is being collected. In the context of working with charities and mission-driven organizations like my current organization, it also often means thinking carefully about impact. How can we use data in a way that actually supports better outcomes for people, not just some metrics on a screen. So it's a role that's part translator, part problem solver, and part strategist, which is what makes it so engaging.
Oh, very, very nice. So you do work with a lot of data in your current role. Can you expand a little bit on how you work with data in your job?
It's a very open-ended question, I must say. So in my job, data is really at the heart of everything I do. And I can maybe speak for all the business analysts out there. Data is the backbone of whatever we do in analytics. So a lot of my work starts with taking in the raw information. It might be from spreadsheets, databases, or cloud platforms, and then shaping it into something that actually makes sense for decision makers. That could mean writing SQL queries to pull the right data together, building dashboards that visualize trends, or creating frameworks to make sure data is accurate and consistent across different teams. But it's not just technical. A big part of the role is also helping people understand what the numbers actually are saying, and what actions they can take from it. Sort of more decision intelligence rather than business intelligence, where the world is going towards now, I believe. For example, in my work with charities, I've often had to translate complex data sets into insights that non-technical staff can use straight away. So I would say I work with data in two ways, technically by cleaning, structuring, and presenting it, and strategically by connecting it back to the bigger questions that the organization is trying to answer.
Very interesting. Yeah, lots of data work there. Okay, but before we get into more of that, tell me, let's back it up a bit. is this what you wanted to be when you grew up? So say you were 6 years old. What was the dream?
Oh, um, 6 years old. My dream was just playing out there. I didn't want to be studying all the time. So, but this wasn't the dream. I must be honest. This wasn't the dream actually. To be honest, when I was younger, I didn't even know a role like this existed. Like a lot of people, I had a quite vague idea of what I wanted to do. Something around technology, maybe, because I was curious about how things worked. So I tinkered with hardware a lot. Assembled the computer hardware,
Mm,
took out
mhm.
RAMs, hard disk, and reassembled it just for the fun of it. But data really wasn't on my radar back then. What happened over time was that I found myself drawn to solving problems and connecting dots. And I enjoyed working out why things weren't running smoothly or how information could be better organized to help people. That curiosity gradually led me into roles where I was working with systems, then with data, and then eventually into this space where I get to combine a little bit of both.
Oh,
So
I
no,
like that. Yeah.
it wasn't my childhood plan, but in hindsight, sense because it fits well. It fits so well with the things that I naturally enjoy doing, analyzing, simplifying, and helping others make better use of tools and information around them.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I love how you started developing just that natural curiosities. You start taking things apart. So then what did you start, in terms of your studies gravitating towards and where did you end up with in your first job?
The journey has been quite organic rather than something I mapped out from the start. I began in roles that were more operational, where I was close to the day-to-day challenges teams were facing. For example, we were sending out manual Excel reports of the team's performance every morning, every afternoon, and then every evening. Uh, Quite manual, and that was back in 2016, 17, when we were just talking about big data. And then data ops back then was just a fancy slang, if I must say that. Um, in those early positions, I noticed that a lot of problems came down to information not being managed properly. People didn't have the right information at the right time, or the systems weren't talking to each other. That naturally pushed me to get more hands-on with the technical side, learning SQL, experimenting with reporting tools, and gradually the person challenges would come to when they need clarity from messy data, for example. From there, I moved into business analysis formally, which gave me the space to apply both the problem solving side and the technical side together. And I love both aspects of it, not just one, I must say that, being a generalist. Working with charities and mission driven organizations also shaped my perspective. It showed me how data could be used not just for efficiency, but also for impact. So step by step, it was less about grand plan and more about following that thread of curiosity, upskilling as I went, and then taking opportunities to bridge that gap between technology and people.
I love that, and it's I love it when people say and so naturally I fell into so it's so natural for you, and I think that's the point, right? Is to follow your own paths and what is easy, or what
Absolutely.
you find passion around.
Yeah.
So as you're learning all these things, were you self-taught? Where did you learn these skills? Did you just like apply for jobs and think about it later? Or like, how did you gain these skills and progress in your career?
I self-studied a lot.
Mhm.
The benefit of self-studying is you don't know when to stop. So I kept studying and studying, and when I realized I didn't need to study all that, I was already with a major fintech employed, transitioning their SQL relational databases to their big data environment. That was one of my early projects that I contributed to when I started my career with a major fintech. The Yeah, I mean that was mostly the part of it. The self-studying. Mostly, I took up a big data certification early in 2017, and then I took up a green belt, a Six Sigma green belt as well, just to showcase, oh, I know what I'm doing, because I loved wireframing prototypes. I loved making mock-ups before I actually made solutions for the teams. So that and Six Sigma green belt actually went to the depth of it. Why are we doing something? How is it? How can we actually do it in the end? So those certifications really helped. And then I must say it's learning on the go. It's not just learn 1 year and then give a break for 3 years. It's always learning. It's always upskilling within the tech industry. We all know how AI is reshaping everything around us. So we must stay up to date with whatever's out there. Otherwise, it can be very outdating. And I understand it's intimidating as well. It's to some extent for some people. Sometimes it gets very intimidating for me as well.
Yeah.
All the changes that are happening, it's too fast for a single person to keep up with. But I focus on what I do. I focus on data, I focus on analysis, and I focus on people. That's it. That's my major focus. And then that's what I keep upskilling myself in.
Yeah, it's it's a very good focus. I used to think when I was a kid that like I would suddenly be an adult and know everything, right? But you grow up and you learn like, oh yeah, you're never gonna know it all. But and
Yeah.
and it's the process to continually learn and challenge yourself and continuous growth. You never stop growing, or you shouldn't, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That.
yeah.
Visit DATAVERSITY.net and expand your knowledge with thousands of articles and blogs written by industry experts, plus free live and on-demand webinars covering the complete data management spectrum. While you're there, subscribe to the weekly newsletter so you'll never miss a beat.
So what's been your biggest lesson so far in your career?
I'd say the biggest lesson for me has been that data alone doesn't create any change. People do.
Mm.
Early in my career, I thought if I built the perfect dashboard or created a cleaned data set, the value would be obvious and everything else would follow automatically. But what I've learned, especially working in the nonprofit and mission-driven space, is that you need to bring people with you. That means listening carefully, understanding their context, and excuse me, and sometimes slowing down on the technical solution to build trust and clarity first. Another part of that lesson is realizing that simplicity often wins. The most useful solutions I've delivered weren't always the most complex ones, if I'm honest, but the ones that made it easy for someone non-technical to get the insight they actually needed quickly. So for me, the big takeaway is that success in this field is as much about empathy and communication as it is about the technical skill. And it's very easy to get inclined towards any one of them, but there needs to be a balance between all of them, I believe. And if we can align all of these, that's when the data really makes a difference.
A very important lesson.
Yeah.
Everybody sees things differently, understands things differently, views things differently. So it's you need to spend some time to bring all those perspectives into focus.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me, having worked with data really most of your career. What is your definition of data?
Very interesting. For me, data is really just a way of capturing stories about the world around us. Um, on the surface, it looks like numbers, text, or records in a system, but behind each of those points is something real, an action, a decision, or an outcome. In the work I've done with charities, my current employment, I've seen how data can tell you where resource. I've seen how data can tell you where resources are being used, how people are engaging, or where the gap exists in services. So I would define data as raw evidence. It's the starting point that when managed and interpreted properly, becomes knowledge. Um, Very heavy words, but it's very important to realize it's important to say that data on its own doesn't hold any value until it's connected to the context. And without that, it's just information sitting in a table. And when you add purpose and meaning, data becomes a powerful tool for understanding and making better choices.
Very, very true. So tell me, do you see the importance of data management and the number of jobs working with data increasing or decreasing over the next 10 years, and why?
I definitely see the importance of data management increasing, and with that, the number of jobs in the field growing over the next decade. We're moving into a world where every organization, whether it's commercial, public sector, or in the nonprofit space, is becoming reliant on data to function. What's changed is that it's no longer enough just to collect it. Now we need to make sense of it in real time, ensure it's accurate and protected, and that also ethically. With trends like artificial intelligence, automation, and digital transformation accelerating, none of that works without strong data foundations. And that means we'll need more people who understand governance, uh, quality, and integration, and not just from technical side as well. And from what I've seen in my own work with mission-driven organizations, even small improvements in data management can unlock outsized impact. So I think demand will not only grow, but diversify into new roles. That's it between businesses, technology, and strategy.
Yeah, yeah. So, you talk about, transformation. There's a lot of companies still working on digital transformation. What roles do you see? You mentioned data governance. So data governance roles, do you see incorporating into that need for data management?
So I've recently, I don't know if I can promote, but I've recently written an article about a new role that is emerging out in any organization, not just nonprofit. It could be any organization. So regularly, people are using new tools without management knowing what tools they are using, their own teams are using, for example. And that's not because they are revolting. That's because the tools that exist in the organization, it could be for anything, for collecting data, for sending over a report, or for simply just presenting or visualizing the report, for example. But that tool is being difficult, and the legacy systems hasn't transitioned in over a decade, maybe even more in some organizations. And those tools create a hindsight, and people actually start looking for workarounds rather than saying it out loud that that this tool is being slow for us. So this is trending in almost all the organizations where digital transformation is not a priority at the moment. But so in that scenarios, a new role such as a shadow stack analyst, shadow tools analyst, or a new a new stack analyst, for example, who comes in to analyze what tools that people are using, not just to govern those tools or take them away, but to work around them, to understand what their requirements are, to understand how those tools help them. Maybe budget them if we need to, maybe get a premium version of that if we need to. If they are actually serving the purpose, we can get that tool. And if they're not, we can understand how we can make our existing legacy tools better and integrate that with new systems, or get more services in that legacy tools, for example. That works. That role might actually make a difference in the world. And there's all sorts of new roles that could come across. I mean, business analyst is a very high level role. We have product analysts, we have data analysts, BI analysts, project analysts, and all these roles are now being transitioned, so we can make better use of AI as well as and cloud, where the world is going to be within the next decade. And I can only imagine where it's going to be with AI and cloud. But enhancing those existing roles with the existing technologies, learning those new tools and integrating that with organizations, and that has to come from leadership, not just from the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that you published an article.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, where is that public?
That is public, yes. It's on dataflock.com.
Great.
Yeah.
I love it. We'll check it out. And so then what advice would you give to people looking to get into a career in data management?
For anyone looking to get into career in data management, my advice would be build both the technical and the human skills. On the technical side, learn the fundamentals, things like SQL. Start with fundamentals and then build upon it. Things like SQL, data modeling, and then at least one analytics or cloud platform. But at the same time, work on asking good questions, simplifying complex ideas, and telling a clear story with data. That's what makes you valuable to teams who need insights, not just numbers. I'd also say stay curious and adaptable. Tools and regulations change fast, and the best people in this field are those who keep learning. And that's really important, to keep learning. Finally, remember that data management is a collaborative role. The most successful careers come when you can position yourself as a connector, someone who makes data usable, trustworthy, and meaningful across the organization. If you can do that, you'll always be in demand.
That is great advice overall for people. And that's, we talk about it a lot on this podcast about being curious is just such a core piece of being a data practitioner, no matter which aspect of data you're working with, whether you're a database analyst or you're, at the other end as the business analyst. It's and everything, all the in between, including data governance practitioner, curiosity, like you say, is just so key in keeping up with all the changes and with people, not just, and how people learn and not just the tools itself.
Absolutely. And if you're surrounded by the right team and the right leaders, it can be infectious. And
Indeed.
you'll never stop learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Prateek, it's been such a great time chatting with you today.
Same here, Shannon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for all of our listeners out there, if you'd like to keep up to date on the latest in podcasts and in the latest in data management education, go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Until next time, stay curious, everyone. Thank you for listening to DATAVERSITY Talks, a podcast brought to you by DATAVERSITY. Subscribe to our newsletter for podcast updates and information about our free educational webinars at dataversity.net/subscribe.